Good afternoon, and welcome to Luminato Live. I'm Derek Andrews. I'm the music curator for the Luminato Festival, and we're here at David Pico Square at King and John. And I have a special guest who's traveled in for the festival and in the show tonight from Reuben Koromo.
Yes.
From Sierra Leone Refugee All Stars. Welcome to Toronto.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not the first time you've been here. How many times have you been to Toronto before?
Well, in Toronto, I can say 3 times now.
Yeah. So you have a few fans here?
I hope so.
Yeah. The band has an incredible story, as you can tell from the name Sierra Leone Refugee All Stars. They are from West Africa, and they formed in a refugee camp. So let's talk a little bit about that, because it's such an unusual reality that you guys, there was a war in Sierra Leone and you found yourselves in a refugee camp. What was that like, and tell us a little bit about Sierra Leone and what was going on there?
Well, actually, we had a war, and the war forced me and my wife to run away. And we fled to the neighboring country, which is Republic of Guinea.
Yeah.
And we registered on the, UN, registered as refugees, and we live in a refugee situation.
It wasn't safe at home.
It wasn't safe, and we were looking for safety. So we had no option but to live in a refugee, But living in a refugee camp is deplorable. It's never a good condition.
Yeah.
Being separated from your country. Some people lost family members, and your contracts and everything. It's really a bad situation. And I just thought, well, this is the time for me to appease myself with my music, And when I started singing with my wife, I found out that people love it. Fellow refugees loved it.
And you met some other refugees who were making music in the camp?
Yes. And we just put heads together and formed the band.
And we were talking before the interview, and Reuben was filling me in that the instruments that you used were basically you had to improvise with a lot of things that were, because you didn't have regular professional instruments.
Yeah, that is very true, because we had to use car hubs to make like a hi-hat, and use X-ray sheets.
Car hubs? You mean the hub of a tire?
Yes.
Okay.
We use that to make.
And X-ray sheets were to play on?
Yes, to play on. It sounds pretty cool when you engulf it with a board, so it sounds like a tom. So
okay.
We use that to make toms, and then we use other rubbers to make, everything we improvise to just create something, a very good percussion for our music.
And no electric instruments, I assume?
No, that time we only use acoustic guitar.
And people were digging what you were doing in the camp and just making people a little bit happy?
Well, people were very happy. They were very fascinated, because there's nothing else that they could see more than that in the camp. So, they were so happy to see us play music.
And there's a Canadian connection to what happened next, because I gather there was a step forward when you got a little help.
Yes, way back when we were trying to play our music, there was a Canadian NGO, which was operating in the camp. They saw that we could be very useful. But
do you remember the name?
Yes. They are called CECE.
Okay.
CECE.
Okay. Yeah.
And these guys bought us a generator, 2 speakers, and 2 electric guitar and mics, to make us a little bit audible so that we can play for bigger crowds.
You get bona fide.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is still in the early days, back a dozen or so years ago?
Yes, it was, I can say specifically 2001 when they gave us those equipment. So we've been playing in the camp,
So, Refugee All Stars nowadays record for Kumbansha, the record label out of Vermont in the U.S. You have a new record. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But to get to that stage, how did you move? You're obviously getting plugged in, helped build your audience, and that was still a local thing in the camp, or did you begin to tour around Sierra Leone?
Well, what happened was when we had those equipment, we used to play out for the Guineans, because we were living in Guinea, and then the other refugee camps, because those refugee camps were not only located in one place.
Yeah.
We have several refugee camps in the region. So
All in Guinea?
yes, all in Guinea, but 2 Americans and 1 Canadian who are filmmakers met us in 2002 specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And when we played our songs, they became amazed, and they decided to make a documentary film about us. And they took us on a tour to the other refugee camps, and we entertained refugees. They took footages of everything and conducted some interviews.
Started
and
to tell your story.
Yes, and brought everything in America and made a trailer.
Right.
And they are able to raise money, come back in 2003, put us to the studio. We made our first album. They came back, and then they started screening our story into film festival. And one year, 2005, we won the best documentary. And that year, it was a big exposure. Since then, everybody have been wanting to see us everywhere.
You haven't looked back.
Yes, we just go in everywhere.
I see your tour schedule, and you are playing all over. We're delighted to have you on the bill here with Ziggy Marley tonight, and for fans who are tuning in after the fact, I think they'll have a chance to find your music by buying it and following where you tour. What's coming up for you guys? Do you have a good schedule for the summer and playing festivals?
Yes, we have a very long tour. The tour will last till September. Yes, and at some point we have to go to Europe and play in some countries in Europe and come back to the US, Canada too, busy. We are very busy.
Well, that's the impression I've had from following your careers over the years. It's a wonderful success story of change and emerging out of an unfortunate situation. Now, I made a mistake a minute ago by saying that you were playing in Sierra Leone. So after Guinea and the war started to subside, did you then play in Sierra Leone?
Yes, because we repatriated. We came back to our country in 2004. Even our first album, we launched it in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
We actually stayed there when we are not touring.
Yeah.
So
you have homes there, and
yeah.
What is life like there now? Is it becoming more reasonable?
Well, it's calm. There is no cause to fear. It's really calm, and we're staying back there. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, a lot of youths are not employed, and a lot of poverty.
Right.
You can see the remains of the war.
Yeah.
In many places.
The impact of conflict.
Yeah, you see it, but it's peaceful.
And how do people treat you back home? You must be kind of like stars to have come out of the ashes of the war and emerge with some form of success and making a solid living as professional musicians.
Well, most conscious Sierra Leoneans are very proud of us, and they treat us with respect.
Nice.
They treat us as celebrities.
Well, you're making great music, and entirely justifiable that you're on a bill with a great reggae performer, the son of Bob Marley's, his eldest son, Ziggy, tonight. But I know your music is a mix of reggae and other styles. I mentioned
palm wine
and soukous, some other.
Yeah, and jolly.
So for the fans that are hearing these terms for the first time, people who follow African music know that palm wine is a style of music that's unique to West Africa.
Yeah.
And am I correct when I say soukous? Is there a little soukous happening there?
Well, what the Zairian call soukous is what we call jolly.
Okay.
It's jolly beat.
All right. Same guitar lick?
Ah, well, yes, and same beat.
Okay. Gets people dancing.
Oh yeah, it gets people dancing. It's Jolly is a youthful kind of organization where youths organize themselves and go, and do gymnastics with the drumming.
Yeah.
Back in Africa, in Sierra Leone, and it's a very popular thing. Many Sierra Leoneans know about Jolly.
And how did that music come to you? You're the band leader, and you write the songs. Did you have training in music? Do you have people that you followed? Other people who influenced you in your music making and your development?
Well, actually, I can attribute that to the influence of my father, because my father was a traditional hand drummer. He used to sing before me, and as a kid, we always think that what parents are doing are the best. We admire our parents are the first people that we admire.
Right.
And that's how I started singing, imitating my father.
And what kind of repertoire would that be? Would that be traditional?
Traditional.
Yeah.
And then when I grew up, I kept loving music, and I started singing other people's songs, and sometimes I see guitarists and instrumentalists love me, and they would call me, "Hey, come and sing for us, man.
Yep.
You can sing this song for us." I sing.
Yep.
That's how I become a musician. I've never been to school to learn everything, although I made some effort. I have been reading and practicing music through.
Who are your favorites? This is a question that I see people getting asked. Who were there favorites that you liked when you were having your music take form?
Bob Marley is my mentor.
Wow.
He's my main inspiration.
Perfect that you're on a bill with his son tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy. That's why I'm very excited.
Bob had a lot of influence in Africa, and I know that there's some great African reggae performers, Alpha Blondy, Lucky Dubé, and others that have shown up in the international landscape.
Yeah.
But do you know if Bob Marley ever was in Sierra Leone or Guinea? Did he ever tour? I know he was in Zimbabwe.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So you never saw him perform?
No.
Wow. Well,
but I really performed with Bob's mother.
Tell us about that.
In Sedalabuka. That was in 2006 when we went on a festival, music festival for South by Southwest.
Yes.
And then she really made a party for us at the national park.
Wow.
And then she invited us to play a song, No Woman No Cry, and we came on stage and performed with her, Yeah.
Must have been so satisfying.
I think that time was just they were trying to launch Bob Marley's DVD, I don't know, that talks about his history, and that time we were there, in Miami.
Well, I know you're going to have a very busy summer promoting the new record, Libation. Tell us a little bit about that new record, and then we'll let you go. What the making of that record is this? I've seen some reviews of the record, and people are saying great things about it. A little more acoustic. How can we describe that record?
Well, actually, we trying to keep that kind of rootsy feel, like acoustic feeling, maybe next to raw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just avoid modern effect into our sound.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, keeping it real. That's what we meant to produce for the people. And also we try to give, different choices in the album because we gave different rhythms. We have palm wine, jolly beat, which is very similar to soukous, and then we have reggae into the new album, and we have high life into the new album. You
Well,
know?
there's a lot of Ghanaians in Toronto who have listened to Pat Thomas and other great high life performers here. But for fans of the Sierra Leone Refugee All Stars, you're going to have to go by Libation and discover the mysteries of these various sounds yourselves. But we have you live on stage tonight performing all of that repertoire tonight, hopefully.
Yes.
That's fantastic. I've been talking to Reuben Koromo, the leader and the founder of one of the great African bands that's touring the world these days. So great to have you here. We're going to wrap it up for Luminato Live today with a thank you for your visit here in Toronto.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Good to have you here.